Welcome Spartans to Halo Book Club, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Halo Book Club goes beyond the video games and covers Halo's extended media lore from the novels, short stories, comic books and more. And today we're talking about the and more. I'm your host today, David, and joined with me is the lovely Ian.
Hey David, this is a different format.
Ian. I know. Is this isn't your first book club, right?
No, it's. I think I did one earlier. I do not recall which one, but it is. It has been quite a while.
Yes, hey, book clubs have been. It's been an old one, but it's been quite a while.
Yes.
Also, this is an old book story. This came out in October. Obviously, we were very far behind in October times, but we got to it. Today we're doing Saturn Devouring His Son, which is an audio book, and it's also a PDF document that you can also read on Halo Waypoint, that the Halo team have been putting out, kind of the Chronicles series, they're kind of calling it. So it's all these little short audio books. There's a whole bunch of them out. We're going to be covering them on Halo Book Club. This is one of the longest ones they've put out, which is about 30 minutes. So I'll get down through the bits. So you can listen to this, obviously, on YouTube. It's also on Halo Waypoint. Should you need it. I'll get into some of the social stuff. So obviously you're listening to Book Club, so welcome to the show, everybody. It's part of Evolved. We have a whole bunch of Halo TV shows. So we have Podcast Evolved, we have Mission Debrief, Build the Blocks, HCS Pro Talk, which we partner with, Halo TV Plus, which is the new hotness right now. Not to date this episode, but there we go, and Halo Hotlines. So if you'd like to learn more about each of those shows, go check out our website, which is evolvedhalo.com, also halopodcast.com, which is amazing. It still makes me happy to know we have that. If you're a fan of the show, please rate us, leave us a review. We like all our feedback to try and make ourselves better, greater, stronger. We also have a Patreon, which is still ridiculous to my simple-minded brain. So we have a whole bunch of incredible people over there on our Patreon supporting us, keeping us going. Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, seriously.
I will leave it there. Yeah, Ian knows. Ian gets it.
Absolutely.
If you would like to know more about Patreon, go check it out. We have exclusive rewards, early episodes, unique swag, our very own soundtrack, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Our newest reward is still the I Would Have Been Your podcast, led by the Mr. Ian, which is kind of an off-topic podcast about ourselves and the community and whatnot. So there you go. Again, we have the Audible trial. So Audible have a whole bunch of novels, like a crap ton of stuff, all sorts of different things, guided well in programs. They have every single one of the Halo stories all on there. So if you're interested, go check out audibletrial.com/podcastevolve to learn more and start your free trial today. Excellent. Ian, here we go.
Yes.
We are doing a really quick book club. So the title is Saturn Devouring His Son. Which people may or may not know what that is. That is the name of a but a piece of artwork that is quite famous. I'll go into that a little bit later on. So I kind of like it because it's kind of bouncing off the Mona Lisa, which was a Halo horror novel from Halo Evolutions that people quite liked. So this is a similar style, and I like that they're invoking that with the name. The author is, it's narrated by Alex Wakeford, which I've picked up in two kind of places, so Ian is quite shocked by this. I was not quite sure, even reading it, whether or not it was true, because I didn't see it on the actual official Halo website. So it's obviously very well narrated. I think the voice is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The publisher is 343i, as you imagine. It's via their Halo YouTube channel. It's available on YouTube and on a PDF, like I mentioned, if you would like to read it first, if you're a reader like myself. It was released on the 31st of October 2023, which is a little while ago. And its length is about 31 minutes. Half an hour. It's about half an hour. 31.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know why I messed that up. I wrote that really wrong, really weirdly. I'll give you a quick kind of summary, and then we'll chat about it. So it's 2556, which is right after Halo 3. So a partnership between UNSC and the Inebrum Machine Complex, which is IMC, which you hear mentioned a lot in this book, in this short story, serves a vital role in rebuilding the UNSC fleets by mining vast asteroid belts of a gas giant. When an unexpected discovery is made by a civilian survey team, the promise of a retirement-grade payday and the hubris of a UNSC captain results in an ancient terror being unleashed. The timeline, like I said, is 2556, so it's about a year after Hunters in the Dark, which is where UNSC home fleet service collisions of the Tri-Station Assault on Earth. I'm trying to remember what that is. Oh,
That
yeah,
was
Hunters in the Dark.
yeah, Hunters in the Dark. Yeah, that was
That's
on the Ark.
they go back to the Ark,
Yep.
isn't it? And then that's right. So it's post Halo 3, before Halo, and it just is what it is. Ian, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's not like there's not that much there. It's half an hour long audiobook, which if you were to put that, well, I haven't looked at the PDF, but if you were to put that into pages of a book, an audiobook is usually at least 10, 12 hours of a normal like a novel.
Yeah.
So this is a handful of pages. Really, it's not really that long. So
Maybe a 15-minute, 20-minute read if you're taking your time.
yeah, so you don't get So you don't get like too in depth. There's not a ton of character building. They introduce the characters, and they give some basic fill basic roles of the story, and then it kind of just ends because it's not there's not too much fleshed out there. But I mean, for what it was, I enjoyed it. It did feel it's interesting. It's a different approach that they've done in the past, where I feel like this would have been a story in a anthology series, along with some of their other waypoints. I don't know if they maybe are planning to put all these into one at some point, or this is just a different route that they're going now. But I did appreciate it. I like those short stories. They don't always add a ton to the universe, but they add those just little snapshots of different parts that you probably wouldn't see otherwise. You're never going to get this kind of a story in a game at all, or anything like that. These characters would never show up. They're just sort of run of the mill characters, right? There's, you got ship captain, and you got what I guess some salvagers, or I wasn't exactly sure of everyone's job.
Yeah, they're like a survey team. So there's about 3 they work for IMC, which is this obviously mining company that are looking for resources, helping rebuild the fleet. So you have a security kind of survey team that go in and check. So they find a Forerunner ship buried in an asteroid. They freak out, going, "Holy shit, payday! Let's go check it out." So there's a quote unquote main character, is a guy named Julian. There's Abe and Mox, which are other guys on his team. There's a bunch of other dudes as well, but they're kind of throwaway, so we don't need to talk about them too much. So it's the perspective we see it from is Julian as a surveyor. He's like ex-military, took this job because it was super handy. They're finding this payday. They find the ship. They're very excited. They go check it out, and then within the ship, it turns, which I actually really like. The production. The production is really nice, and kind of the way it was done. Of you have Alex narrating the story in a beautiful voice, and then it cuts to essentially a Gravemind, identical Gravemind, spot on voice describing kind of single word statements, short sentences of flood thought, as you can imagine, from inside the ship, as it detects and picks up activity outside and thinks, hunger, feed. It gets excited. Mm-hmm. I thought, like you said, it was really well done. I thought it was really well done.
It was. The production value was really good. Yeah, that was the part that threw me off, I think, because I was listening to that. It's not necessarily the same voice, like the Gravemind voice, as the narrator. I kind of assumed that it was, and he was either doing a voice or he was
it's something artificial, man.
They're probably applying some filters to it or whatever, but that was the part that threw me off, that when you told me that Alex was the narrator, I was like, wow, okay. I mean, he's younger than us, so like the voice, if you listen to the narration, it sounds like a deeper, kind of more mature voice, but you can
proper man voice, Ian. One that we don't
proper
have,
man voice. I'm not saying anything about Alex. I just you know what I mean though. Like you get over voice changes, but I just more mean like hearing that, it's like, okay, well, he's doing a voice, or maybe they did some filtering with that, but he's probably just maybe talking a little deeper or whatever. But the Gravemind voice, like I was like, that was, maybe I'm wrong, but that sounded spot on to the Gravemind voice from like Halo 2, Halo 3. And
it's indistinguishable. Like once you hear it, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I thought, like, did they get the guy who did the voice? And forgive me, I don't know who did the voice for the Gravemind. I'm sure there are fans out there who know. I'm not good with stuff like that, so
who knows?
We should. We really should. I'm sure it's some semi-famous voice, at least in the Halo universe.
Bradley Baker is down as credited as the Gravemind voice.
Okay, I have
looks
no
like
idea.
he's quite a famous voice actor.
Okay.
He's done a bunch of SpongeBob and Star Wars and all sorts of bits and pieces by the looks of it. Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if they got him back. It's probably just a filter on a voice, but I'd be curious to know what they did for that. But yeah, that was I mean, it was good. It was a good transition. It was certainly, you can't get that out of, like I said, if this was going to be in a anthology, obviously you can't get that kind of, voice work in a book, right?
Yeah, it's one of the. I'd say it is one of the. As a person who doesn't really like audiobooks, it is one of the obviously main advantages is that when they put production value into a audiobook, you get things like this. You get kind of background noises, nice music. It's kind of like the way the story is narrated is quite nice. It's very slow and deliberate, and it absolutely has a spooky vibe. I think they nailed it in terms of obviously its release date, its content, how it links back to kind of the Mona Lisa. I really like that.
100%.
So obviously the story goes that you can imagine the flood opens the ship itself, comes out. The miners go in to check it out. As you imagine, they get taken over by flood. They send distress calls. There's a UNSC ship nearby. It has it has a Captain Alvarez is the main character on that ship. He is very quickly a snobbish kind of moron is kind of the impression you get. He's very cavalier. He shows up. He has the painting, the Saturn Devouring His Son by Goya. I think is Spanish. I thought I looked this up. I looked up tons of stuff after the fact. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And I spent ages going down the rabbit hole of this artist and looking Spanish. Yeah, so it's actually a famous painting, and I had seen it before. And it's quite interesting. And that plays in a little bit to the story. That's kind of the theme of it, of a kind of God devouring his son piece by piece, and kind of very creepy vibes, very creepy picture. The captain has this in like his quarters, kind of behind like a sealed box. I get the impression it's supposed to be the real one.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, wouldn't it? So this guy pretty much shows up, says, "Oh, it's only this minor flood infestation." he argues with his ship AI, which is like Charon, and he utters the phrase to essentially override the AI and deploy his fire team Leviathan, which has 4 Spartans, a bunch of Cyclopses, which I liked hearing of, and Hell Jumpers. So kind of Halo Wars vibes. It's quite cool. This is the kind of fire team they put together deliberately to combat flood, and it's quite cool as you hear them. They get deployed. They get the perspective switches back to Julian. He's still alive. Everyone else is more or less dead. He's down to using like a plasma cutter. Kind of like I got kind of vibes of like Dead Space vibe. He's just using equipment to like fight off the flood, and essentially he sees the Spartan get taken over, and then it describes the countermeasures that a suit applies. Yes. Obviously, the gel hardens to immobilize the body, and then a bunch of detonations go off inside the helmet to destroy the head.
That was really good. That
was really cool, wasn't it? But like I also thought reading that that's not enough to stop flood, right? Flood is with the body.
Right. That's a good question. I feel like I should know this, but maybe the lore isn't 100% on point all the time. In that,
I don't know.
Sort of adjusts to fit the narrative. But I don't know. It's a good question. Like, do they need the brain to be able to control the body? I would think you would need something because it doesn't have its own nervous system, but. I don't know.
I know they take over yours and attach into your spine and do it all. Right, take over the consciousness, and there's an element of that. So maybe it just becomes a meat puppet. But
or can it take over the suit separately and control it without needing? I mean, if you have the suit to be able to move the body, is that sufficient? I don't know. Yeah, that's apparently you do. Anyway, apparently it quickly turns around. Yeah, it's cool. Like none of these Spartans are named. So like the Spartan that gets taken over is. Essentially fights and kills all the other Spartans, and that's pretty much the end of it. Like, and then it cuts back to the ship captain realizing he's absolutely fucked up. He's watching this in space, and he realizes he has to initiate the Upsilon. I can't remember, but the protocol that is like step away from the planet, bury it off, blow the shit out of it, step away. Do you know what I mean? Don't get involved. So he does that. He gives everyone 7 minutes to come back home. Very few of them do. He nukes the planet, essentially. And the story kind of, at the end, is a little bit ambiguous. So not even saying, like, do they nuke the planet? Is the way it's kind of described is, from the flood point of view, you hear the kind of grave mind taking over, feeding different bodies, superimposing itself across people's memories to, like, assume their, like, identity. And you get the perspective from the Spartan that was taken over at the very end. So I kind of interpreted it kind of as it's taking
it's telling kind of Spartan what to do. Arm your weapon, sharp cut, hunger, become more. He's always about becoming. And then it cuts to like obviously the conscience saying make it stop, make it stop. And then it's talking about him firing and then running away, leaving food behind. It goes horizon, fire, death. So it sees the wave of the nuclear blast coming towards it. So it goes a ship, condor, approach, swarm, hunger. And then charging, slicing, food, leave behind, condor. And so I think it's very much getting the impression that the Spartan gets away. Because it kind of ends with the Spartan kind of saying, I won't let you, I won't let you. But it says, aboard, depart, devour, become. So to me, it's the Spartan got on a condor and got away, essentially. Which is quite fascinating to see if there's any repercussions from this.
So like, and then for anyone who's not familiar with the specifics of the ships of Halo, or all the less popular ships of Halo, Condor is basically a large Pelican with a slip space drive, right? So that's the implication.
Condor's a new
Yeah, that's the implication. Condor is like the one, I think they have that in all the isn't that the TV show?
It's a TV show, yeah. So
TV show, and
it came from Nightfall, is where
yeah,
it initially,
right.
its
Yeah,
first
is that the first one?
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because your man Mike Coulter accidentally released or let slip this existence that this ship existed. So it's essentially a larger Pelican with a slip space.
It feels like feels like sort of now saying that we know the Pelican doesn't have a slip space drive, but everyone knows the Pelican, so they kind of just said we're going to take a Pelican, put a slip space drive on it, bigger, and then call it a different name for the lore people, and then just move on. But yeah, you get the idea across that it's like, oh, he's maybe I guess we don't really ever find out, at least in this story, whether or not the Spartan gets away or not. But I suppose that's the implication.
We could say it was 2556. So we're quite a ways past that now, and we haven't heard anything else from it. So
yeah, right. This would have been again. This was 2556. This would have been 3 years after the end of Halo 3, and it would have been about a year or so before Halo 4. Was Halo 4 2550? No, it was 4.5 years, right? So no, it's 50. No, 58 was
5?
Halo 5. So it was 50. I think. Oh yeah, that's right. It was 50. It would have been like I think it's like July 57, and then Spartan Ops was like January 58. So yeah, so this would have been about a year-ish before Halo 4 timeline. So yeah, it's in that kind of like weird middle area where there isn't any game story at all. There's several books, I think at this point, or several stories written on this time period. But it's an interesting time. It kind of irked me. I know it's for the sake of the story to set it up, but it's number one, this captain is a complete dumbass.
Yeah.
If this guy survives and makes ice, well, I guess presumably he survives and makes it back. I don't think he's he should be getting court-martialed at this point for
he talks about that he knows he's going back to his room to get drunk because he knows he's fucked up and he's going to be taken he will be discharged, you imagine, for this massive fuck up.
I mean, so many layers of fuck up here. Like, for one, okay, what are there? I guess they're out. Is their mission to salvage? They're just out to salvage material, like mineral, like stuff. It wasn't super clear. I know they said they're salvaging.
I think they're just mining.
What they're actually,
I think it was just we're mining this asteroid belt for resources and stumbled across their Forerunner ship.
Right. So this is like 3 years after. This is 3 years after the flood almost like wiped out Earth, basically. Well, more or less. This is a year, like they said, after Operation Firestorm, where Forerunner AI just sent a bunch of
harvesters.
What were they? Just harvesters to basically like wiped out. I think like it wiped out the home fleet or something, right? I don't know. I don't remember the numbers.
Yeah, it devastated Earth again.
Like what are you doing? Like, you find a Forerunner ship, fucking stop, right? Like let's take this slow. And it's like it. And they had so that was weird to me that I didn't realize at first. They had one of these Spartan fire teams that were like for flood. I can't remember what they call them, right?
And this one they call it the Leviathan. The fire team Leviathan is the name of the fire team.
Well, right, but I mean it's like a flood containment fire team, like specifically for flood, I guess. Is that the...
I don't know. I don't know if that is. He calls it like a send down the fire team and like a hazardous or hazmat or has something. There's another word.
Yeah.
Essentially,
They
it implies that he knows what he was doing to a certain extent. Of like, okay, we deploy these and we'll handle the flood easily.
Yeah, it was in the Halopedia article on this. It did mention the flood containment, Spartan flood containment fire team, which is like, okay, that's interesting. So you were prepared presumably for the flood, but like this guy didn't really seem to take the threat seriously, even though.
Yeah,
and I thought at first, like when I first started hearing the story, like, well, do they know about the flood? Like I know, the knowledge of the flood is a little bit questionable, kind of after Halo 3, like there's for the time period there that like who does know about them, who doesn't, that kind of thing. Even the forerunners I think were a little bit iffy, but this guy clearly knows like what's going on. So this is like a level of incompetence that is well, clearly by the story is very dangerous.
Which we need for the story to happen.
Well, right. Yeah. I don't want to. Right, exactly. It exists for the point of the story, but it's like, man, this is a big fuck up. Who's the captain of Infinity in Halo 4 before Lasky?
Oh, god damn it! I can picture his name.
I know.
Give me that AI.
Yeah. Why can't I think of his name? But he would be.
He's the equivalent. Yeah, 100%.
He would be better. He would be 10 times better than this guy. He at least would have run long ago. He would have gotten the fuck out of there. He never would have done anything.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So that was like, I was like, okay, that's this guy sucks. He's not very good at his job, and he won't have his job for much longer, presumably. But yeah, I don't know. It was, but it's a good story. It's a fun story. Don't I guess shouldn't take it too seriously, right?
No. It's just kind of like almost like a what if. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was
actually canon.
I did like the depiction of the Spartan getting taken over, like you said.
Yeah.
And then the kind of description of the what do they call the it was a code word corruptor? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
I think they called it. I can't remember if that was part of the corruptor thing, but it was like the Upsilon or whatever.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So that was a good description of it. He shouldn't have given them 7 damn minutes though. Like, dude, just launch them.
I thought that was too long as well.
Yeah,
I thought it was yeah.
But the whole point of that is you need to sterilize the area. Don't give anyone 7 minutes to get out of there. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, he screwed up, but yeah, it's a fun story. It's a fun description of that whole process, for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to now. I haven't actually listened to any of the other ones. I know there's about 4 or 5. I think another one only got released 2 days ago. So I'm looking forward to chipping away through these ones.
Yeah,
they're short, they're quick. They're
easy. These are good. These are fun. These are fun to listen to. I'd love to see these in like all these together in an anthology, in a new anthology sometime. We haven't had. I was sitting there thinking like we just had an anthology, but it was in 2016, I think, is when
Tales from Still Space.
Is that Tales? Is Tales from Still Space?
Yeah, that was the last one.
I can't even remember the names. Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Or is that a comic? That sounds like a comic.
That's what I was saying. Like, is that the comic or is that the? I can picture the cover of the freaking book, and I cannot, for the life of me, think of it. It's on our website, and I really should I put it there for a reference for people. I could also use it for reference for myself, but I won't. Anyways,
it's okay.
Not that important. Anyways, I thought it was like relatively recent, but that was 2016. And what was the first one? Evolutions came out in 2010, so it was 6 years apart. It's been 8 years since the last one, so it's been longer between now and Fractures. That's what it's called.
Fractures.
It's been longer between now and Fractures than it had been between Fractures and Evolutions. And that time period felt like a really long time. So
yeah, well, a lot has changed in the last 8 years. So
it's for sure. We need.
I'd love the anthologies. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're gonna get these again. I imagine YouTube production on this is far simpler.
Yeah.
An anthology book.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote these. I guess is the other thing. The anthologies were primarily written by the author. The novel authors.
They're authors.
I don't know if Frankie is writing these or Alex is writing these or I guess Jeff Grimbrother one. He's
Alex
still
is a writer, so he's a community
Jeff's
writer.
around
I imagine they're all in-house written.
They may just be doing these in-house now, which is fine. It's they're just as good. But I'd love to see them in physical form. But I know the new generation doesn't really do that kind of thing, right?
No, they don't know what paper is.
They're all on YouTube and TikTok and whatever.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's true. Okay, excellent book. Book audiobook. I really liked it.
Yeah,
I actually did like it. It was quite good.
yeah, it's fun.
It did its job. It told the spooky Halo story in a spooky way. And there's also a line in it about it not being a natural formation that gave me a little chuckle.
Oh, I missed that. That's
yeah,
good.
It's at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
When they're describing it. It's like
that's good.
Yeah, Halo staple, for sure. Okay, guys, thank you all for joining us. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, you can find all of our episodes on our website, evolvedhalo.com. It also has our links to our Discord server, Facebook group, Patreon page, Xbox Live Club, and all our other contact information should you need it. Once again, shout out to the patrons. Thank you so much. And we also have a voicemail should you like to use it. It's 205-5833. And with that, I have been your host, David, and until next time, Evolved.
Evolved.